Hey everyone, how's it going? Coming to y'all with yet another video. This one is a knife review on a knife from GVDV, which is a bit of a funny name. Before I get too far into this, I want to say that if you're looking at knives from GVDV, just know there's not likely to be a lot of quality control or consistency between the products, because I'm about 99.9% sure that they are a rebrander company. What that basically means is they buy knives from overseas, they order stuff from AliExpress, and they have them just slap their logos on a knife that otherwise would be sold to 30 other companies. So it's not really a knife that's put together by GVDV, it's just one that they put their name brand on. Alright, this is their model FS3414, and it's a bit of an interesting knife. It has some pros, it has some cons, and I want to go ahead and dive into that. First thing to mention, though, is this is obviously a copy of a very popular, very successful knife, the Civivi Elementum. And that's how you know the Elementum has become the knife to beat, is whenever they start making copies of it. Now, sure, they make copies of knives all over the place, but not only are knives coming out from other manufacturers in similar sizes and form factors and design, but when you get an outright copy, you know you've done really well for yourself in the knife community. So, yeah, lots to talk about here. First, I'll show you the packaging. Here's the box. It just says GVDV on the top. Nothing on the sides. We flip this over. We have our information. So there's our model number, FS3414. Color is black. Titanium-coated D2 blade. Carbon fiber handle. 3.5 ounce carry weight. And you can see all the information there. Is made in China. Then we have our barcode, and we open this up. And you can see how the knife will be presented to you. It comes in this nice foam insert inside. Comes to you just like so. Honestly, it's a nice little presentation. I don't hate the box by any means. So, a lot nicer than the cheap, flimsy cardboard a lot of knives come with. So that's cool for anyone out there who cares about packaging. For the rest of you who just want to know about the knife, well, here it is. The GVDV FS3414 Elementum copy. And do I have some stuff to talk about with this one? So first of all, we have a 2.8 inch blade made out of Chinese D2, aka CR12 MOV. So what does that mean? It means that as compared to real D2, it's going to have, I believe, a lower vanadium count. It's going to have lower wear resistance, but it can have, generally speaking, similar and comparable edge retention, rust resistance, ease of sharpenability, so on and so forth. In my testing with the GVDV here, I found that the blade performed above the likes of pretty much any 8CR or 9CR blade, but slightly below that of Sanrenmu D2 and below that of Gonzo D2. So what does that mean? Well, it means, honestly, it very likely could be real Chinese D2. I mean, at the price point, D2 is pretty common these days, and performance-wise, it was still sharp after 75 passes through cardboard, which most steels can't honestly say. Not most budget steels anyways. So if I was a betting man, I'd say it probably is actual Chinese D2. But no, just take that with a grain of salt. They say the blade is rock welded 58 to 60, which is about where you want to be with Chinese D2, or D2 in general. It was a great slicer, though. We have this nice hollow grind starting from about the midsection here. Beautiful classic drop point blade, and it did just breeze through cardboard like it was no one's business. And the coating is pretty durable too. I'll get to that later, and there's a reason for that. I'll have to show you in a little bit how I know, because this doesn't even look used, and that's because it's not very well used. I have another one that I have to bring in. But good coating, great slicing capability, obviously an excellent blade shape. We have a nice amount of belly there for any kind of pull cuts. Tip is, if I can get that to focus, decently fine. Okay, it does come to a nice sharp point. Not the best grind lines. You can see the relief edge is a little inconsistent. Kind of a problem you generally run into with some of these no-name companies. But overall, it is a great slicing and performing blade. So, no hate there. How about deployment and lockup? And that is where the plot thickens, because this is not my first GVDV. This was my first GVDV. And what had happened was I, filed for a replacement on Amazon, and they give you about a month or 2 months to send the other one back. So I figured I'll wait to send this one back to them until I do the review so I can show you guys everything that's wrong. So Here is my replacement. It has a pretty fast deployment, although I will say it has an incredibly potent and very, very strong ball detent there. I don't know how well that's showing up on camera. This thing can actually be a little painful to deploy because I have to overcome such a strong detent, and it's not wearing in over time. It is just extremely stout. I could go in here and file that down. However, I wanted to leave it stock for the video. So it does have a very fast deployment, and this one locks up solid. There's no play in any direction. We do have an adjustable pivot screw if we ever needed to mess with it. And according to Amazon, this is riding on ceramic bearings. How true is that? I honestly don't know because I haven't opened these up. It is definitely on bearings. Whether they're ceramic or stainless steel, I couldn't answer. Decent drop shed action on this one, and it does feel nice and smooth. Locking mechanism is a liner lock. You can see our engagement there. Plenty of room for it to wear in. So why is this where the plot thickens? Well, because here's the one that I used and tested, and this one is much easier to deploy. I mean, there is, it's definitely not painful on the finger. Here's, by the way, that blade coating after 75 slashes through cardboard and some EDC use. But the problem is, can you hear that? Yeah, that is up and down blade play. You can see that there, right? That's because this liner is not actually making contact with that blade tang. And whenever I first got it in the mail, it did. However, it began developing lockup issues not after I was using it, but just after I kept playing with it. Just flicking the knife open and close several times, it began to develop gradually more and more play. And that's why I kept doing the same with this, to see if I could if I could replicate that effect. Luckily, I was unable to, but this one, horrible lockup. I mean, it's a damn baby rattle. So, yeah, this kind of represents a bit of a quality control issue with these rebranders and with these no-name companies in general. Because it shouldn't be like that. There should be consistency between knives. Even at this price point, there is consistency between knives these days. And by the way, this price point is between $30 and $40, depending if you catch it on sale or not. I mean, that's just unacceptable no matter who you are. And that's not the only quality control issue. Like I already mentioned, the detent. Show you this one's detent real quick. So much easier to overcome this one as compared to this one. And maybe that's a minor issue to you, but to me, this one can get outright painful after a certain period of time. Other quality control issues I'll mention when I get to the clip. Alright, but just wanted to go ahead and bring that in and show that by way of comparison. Now, our deployment method is a flipper tab. You can see there it is nicely jimped, so you don't really slip off of it too much unless you can't overcome the detent on yours. But overall, it's a decent flipper tab. It's not sharp. It's not poking into your skin or anything. That's not why it's uncomfortable for me. It's just an incredibly strong detent. Centering, pretty much perfect on this one. Let's bring in the defective one. And honestly, it's pretty much perfect there too. So very good centering on both of these knives. That is a nice thing to see. The handle is 4.1 inches long, and this one is in their carbon fiber. They call it 3K Twill carbon fiber. Now, as far as I can tell, this isn't 100% carbon fiber. This looks like a carbon fiber and G10 laminate. If I can get that to show on screen. My camera doesn't always like to focus that well up close. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. Looks like layers of G10 in there to me. So this version has absolutely no traction. However, there is a textured G10 version you can buy for about $2 less that would probably give you better grip. That one also has a black tumbled kind of black wash finish on the blade as opposed to this titanium nitride. One interesting thing about this as compared to the Civivi Elementum, and I'll go ahead and bring the Elementum in to show this, is that the Elementum has scales that sit on top of stainless steel liners that run kind of proud of the scales. With this, the scales completely envelop its liners, which can actually lead to a slightly more ergonomic feel in hand. And like, the Elementum is a comfortable knife. I did mention that the proud liners, maybe they cause a little bit of a bite. Deep carry clip causes a little bit of a bite. This, no issue with the liners, though I still do get a small bite from its deep carry loop over clip. Overall, they're very comfortable in hand. I will have to mention, though, that the thickness of the handle is greater than that of the Elementum. I'll bring these two in side by side. And you can see we do have a thicker handle by a fair bit than the knife that it is copying. Is that a big deal? Not really. You do notice it a little more in pocket. I will say this, though, it's a considerably heavier knife at 3.5 ounces, and it feels actually even heavier than that, if I'm being completely honest with you. So I don't have a way to weigh it. I don't have a means to weigh it currently. I'll do so as soon as I get the chance. But overall, pretty comfortable knife. The deep carry clip is very similar. I'll bring this in to show you. Very similar to the Elementum's. Screw placement's a little different, so you could not use replacement clips from Civivi. But they're very much copying the same loop over clip design. This one has adequate tension, and you can see the way that it rides. Not too raised up from the handle there, so not too much clearance here, but enough that you can get it over jeans. And the lip does not flare up so much that it's likely to snag on things. Now, I mentioned this one because this one has other issues. And actually, this clip initially came on this knife, and this one came on this knife. So I had to Frankenstein parts together to get the best I could get out of these, because the clip that the decent one came with is so unbelievably weak. Like, this thing has just no tension whatsoever. So that's what I mean when I talk about quality control issues. It's not just the lockup. The parts don't necessarily function all that well either. And I mean, I would still like to see more tension than what I have on this one, but it's at least better than the first, or than the other one that I got. So, like I said, this clip came here, that clip came here. So they had actually even more issues individually beforehand. I'll bring in the pocket to show you how it carries. Move this off to the side. You can see that it does carry nice and deep, easily concealed. If you don't like anything exposed in the pocket, we do have a very large lanyard bail, actually even a larger lanyard bail than the knife that it's copying. So you can easily accommodate 550 paracord through there, absolutely no problems. Unfortunately, the clip is not reversible to the left-hand side, so lefties are left out yet again. There is no milling on these steel liners, really. Little tiny hole down there. See over here, pretty much no milling on these stainless steel liners, which is why, despite being roughly the same size and design as the Elementum, it ends up weighing about an ounce more than the Elementum. So yeah, bit of a heavier knife, bit of a chunkier knife. Forgot to mention the jimping on the top spine here. It's a classic notch cut style jimping, and it locks the thumb in very nicely. We also have we don't have a finger choil per se, but we can kind of choke up a little bit to get a little more control over the blade. Okay, as compared to the Elementum, where we have an actual finger choil. So it's not a one-to-one. There are differences, and you can see the shape of the slope at the top of the handle is a bit different. The rest of the handle is virtually identical, though. The blade shape is mostly identical. This is absolutely a copy, but it's not a clone. So take that for whatever it's worth. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to say about this? Trying to think. Oh, GVDV does offer a 12-month warranty. So, I mean, that's cool. If you have any issues with your knife within the first 12 months of owning it, they will take care of you. You can send it in and get a replacement done. That's kind of neat. Not the worst in the world, honestly. A 12-month warranty from one of these no-name companies is honestly impressive in any regard. The problem I have with it, though, is that the quality control is just too inconsistent. You know, yeah, it's only a $30 to $40 knife, but there's plenty of $30 to $40 knives that are consistent in the quality they give you, and it's not a, you know, a gamble every time. You shouldn't have to worry about that whenever buying a knife. This is unacceptable by any means. The ball detent being so wildly different is unacceptable. The clip having, you know, clip tension being so wildly different is unacceptable. It's just, if you're looking at GVDV wondering, is this a company that's comparable to San Renmu, Enlin, Gonzo, Sativian, Civivi, Sencut, Kaiser, any of these companies, Kubi, the answer is no, it's not. This is just a no-name, random company that's taking a Chinese-made knife that's of, you know, decent quality sometimes, and slapping their name on it, and it's not going to be the next big Chinese company to take the world by storm. It's just an average knife with a lot of QC issues. Competitive options, definitely have a few of these to show off. How about, first of all, the knife that it's copying, the Elementum? Now this again is the Damascus and carbon fiber version. However, the D2 and G10 or D2 and micarta version are about 50 bucks. Very similar in price range, about $10 more than this will buy average. This is on sale right now for 30, but average price on the GVDV is 40, so puts them in the same direct competition with each other. And if you're wondering, should I get the GVDV or the Elementum, I will do a full comparison between the two of them, but the answer is pretty obvious. You should get the Elementum. Here is the Camillus Pristine VG10 blade, G10 and stainless steel handles, very ergonomic in hand, about 55 bucks. That's in the same direct competition. Then we have the Kaiser Infinity N690 blade, micarta handle, beautiful EDC blade, functions incredibly well. Price about 60 bucks. It's a better knife than the GVDV. Okay, everything I'm showing you, honestly, is a better knife than the GVDV. Then we have the Sencut Scepter, 9CR 18 MOV blade, micarta or G10 handles, whichever you prefer. Classic liner lock design, price about 40 bucks. Better knife than the GVDV. Here's one that's an incredible value. You can buy about 2 of these for the cost of 1 GVDV. That is the Gonzo Firebird model FH41S. Also in D2, though this D2 outperforms this D2. G10 handles, nice flipper action liner lock. Price about 23 bucks. Yeah, it outperforms the GVDV. And then here's a couple of slightly different knives that I'm going to bring in from different, more American companies, although these aren't made in America. This is going to be kind of interesting. We have the Schrade Landshark. These are both spring-assisted knives I'm about to show you, by the way. So AUS 8-blade, aluminum handle, kind of a modified spear point design on that blade. Very ergonomic, though. Price about $20 on eBay right now. I'd pick the Landshark over the GVDV every day of the week. And then here's a really interesting one. This is the Kershaw model 1310 WM, a Walmart exclusive Kershaw. Unbelievably ergonomic, very functional blade shape. Nice deployment, great clip, reversible to the left-hand side as well. Much worse steel than this, 3CR 13 MOV, but price is $10. Honestly, in terms of build quality and feel and finish, I would take the Kershaw over the GVDV. So if you're wondering, is the GVDV a good knife? The answer is, it's decent sometimes. I cannot emphasize that enough. Sometimes. The problem is when you have such wildly inconsistent quality control, it's very difficult to recommend a product because you never really know what the consumer is going to get. And I think that there's just better knives out there for you guys than to waste your money gambling on this particular blade. So, that's been my video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, peace, and I'll see you later.